Well, hello, it is Tara Boothby and Ellis Chan, and we are talking about holidays, COVID Christmas. This is COVID Christmas 2.0.
The second one.
Yeah, second one. So, what are we thinking here, Ellis? Like lots of isolation that we've all been enduring, and
Mm,
how do we make sense of that during the holiday season?
sure. I feel like the holidays in general always have sort of reminded me of isolation. It's something that I run into um, myself and others in people that I've worked with, where you get this sense, you see the holiday promos on commercials, you see people posting on social media time with friends and family, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes family isn't able to be with you. Sometimes friends aren't able to be with you because of circumstances. Or sometimes you are able to do that, but then there's periods where you're not together with people. And sometimes there's circumstances where you don't have that too. Maybe a loved one is no longer with you. Maybe friends have moved away. And then that holiday aspect, that promotion of togetherness, I find it really impacts. It really creates this feeling of reminder and that you're isolated. And I think for me, when I have that, um, isolation really impacts me in that it makes me feel down. It makes me feel, I would say, if I could identify, sad, probably. I might feel anxious, anxiety, and feeling that is it going to be like this all the time? I might feel mad, even, that why does it have to be this way? Um, Everyone's going to be different. I think this is really important, that when I say, like, how do I deal with that, it doesn't mean that this is something that's going to work for you, for everyone, but it's maybe more the idea that it's the, how do we tackle it? What is the thought process in working with that, that's maybe more important, and less so the actual coping tools or mechanisms that you might have. I think for me, like, if we go back to that idea of sad, I've probably talked about how I break down my emotions and feelings into mind, body, and behavior. Those are my kind of three big key tenets about how I feel emotions manifest in myself, and how they also contribute to the feelings I feel. Sadness can manifest in my mind as thinking about what I used to have. Maybe it's thinking about the holidays last year, thinking about what it was like when I was able to have maybe Christmas together with family. And then this year I don't have that. Maybe it's thinking about a friend who had moved away, or a loved one who's no longer in my life. And then I feel like I'm missing out, thinking and dwelling about that. It might be behavior. Behavior is a little bit tougher for me, or sorry, not behavior, body. Body is a little bit tougher for me with sadness, because it's more of an absence of energy. It's not really something overtly obvious first, but it's feeling like there's a big weight on my chest or something. But behavior is the one that I think is really important over here for me when I deal with sadness and isolation, because I tend to isolate. I stop reaching out. When I dwell on these thoughts of isolation and think about what I'm not able to do and how different things are, I get stuck. I stop reaching out to the very things that are actually important to counter isolation, reaching out to people, talking to people. And I was thinking about this with my friends. I was actually out yesterday, and we were talking about some of the things we did last Christmas. And I realized how important it was for me to do those things. We did car hangouts. We would drive to a parking lot, grab food, takeout, and then we would talk for cars, because it'd be like -30. So we would have video going on, and we were sort of together, but in our own bubbles in this parking lot in our own individual cars. And those memories, and seeing like how hard we worked to try to be together, created a really good sense of belonging and togetherness. But it was realizing that I needed to do that reach out. In the case of what I was talking about with these three things, mind, body, and behavior was really contributing to that feelings of isolation. that I was like, well, we can't get together, so I'm not going to reach out. But then I realized like we can, but under different circumstances, it's going to look different.
Right.
And that was something that was really huge. I think that helped me.
I love that, Ellis. And I mean, you're such a foodie, so it just makes sense that you guys would be sitting in your cars eating some good food. But what I hear you highlighting as well is not only is CBT ways of noticing, choosing better, or helping ourselves out of difficulty, but the grief emotions, alone goes so well with grief. And we know the difficulty of the stages of grief: denial, bargaining, anger, depression, and all of the versions that go with that. It is exhausting. And so we've been doing this for over, almost 2 years now. We're coming on our second Christmas. It's hard. We've been isolated. We had an isolated Christmas last year. It's hard to press out. And so I think even what you're saying is, I'm a big fan of going slow right now. Let's get slow with ourselves and let's come up with some ideas, some different strategies of how do I challenge myself to reach out and be with others.
Sure.
We're deeply impacted. We're deeply, deeply impacted by the isolation. And then it's Christmas, and Christmas can be that symbol of isolation again.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to pause here, and then we're going to come back with just a second part of this great conversation, because I love what Ellis is saying, and I think we could mine it a little bit more. Are you okay with that, Ellis?
Sure.